in connection to a shooting here in Midtown overnight Sunday. Sources saying someone shot Kris Boyd once in his abdomen and that there was no exit wound. Those sources also saying that shooting broke out during a fight involving Boyd after a man tried to steal a chain.
Well, hello, Venters. You know, the New York Jets, pretty miserable football team, right? They should get rid of their quarterback. They should get rid of their coach. Heck, they should get rid of the whole team. One of their defensive backs, Kris Boyd, was out Sunday evening at 2 a.m. Now, I don't know if that's coming off of Saturday night or if that's actually Monday morning at 2 a.m., but either way, he got shot in the abdomen and he's still in the hospital in critical but stable condition. And the reason I wanted to share this story with you guys is because, number one, I think whenever anything happens to celebrities, it's kind of interesting. These people think they're bulletproof, and physically speaking, many of them are because they're so darn built and so darn athletic, right? But they still can't stop a bullet. And I come from the old school way of thinking that there is absolutely nothing happening at 2 a.m. that's a good thing, right? Anything that happens after midnight is probably one of those situations that we could naturally avoid. One of the things that always blew me away about these rich athletes is when you look at their homes, a lot of times they have mansions. Inside those mansions, you guys have seen their cribs, right? They'll have bowling alleys, basketball courts, movie theaters, backyard functions, and they have 1,000,001 friends and associates. Why do I say this? If you were rich like that, and the point of going out is to be around people, right, in your age group, why not just throw a private party at your own house away from the trouble? Actually, I take that back. Even when these pro athletes have these parties at their house, gun violence still has a way of finding them. Let me just say this. If I were an NFL superstar, I would literally buy myself a mansion, and then I would make sure that I had friends frequent my mansion where I could stay away from trouble. And of course, I would choose activities that didn't involve getting in too much trouble anyway. But I hear about these things happening, and it's like, this guy got shot in the abdomen. Couple inches lower, and he's getting shot in the nuts, right? Couple inches higher, he's getting shot in the chest and the heart. He could have easily lost his life, and I don't know how easy it is to recover from one of these shots. He could be a little bit disabled moving forward. More than likely, he'll end up recovering in full, and he'll be able to live a productive life. But again, psychologically speaking, it makes you not want to be out late, but also it makes you not want to wear jewelry. Oh yeah, by the way, a man tried stealing one of his chains.
Authorities say the suspect was last seen in the area of the 150 block of West 38th Street wearing a black cap, black sweatshirt, black pants, multicolored sneakers, and carrying a black book bag. Police on the scene overnight Sunday in Midtown Manhattan. Pix 11 learning that's where gunfire rang out around 2 a.m., not far from Say Less, an Asian fusion restaurant and speakeasy. Sources saying someone shot Kris Boyd once in his abdomen and that there was no exit wound. Those sources also saying that shooting broke out during a fight involving Boyd after a man tried to steal a chain.
One of my favorite players is Cam Skattebo, and if you guys have seen him, he's got this scat necklace. Now, I don't know if that's just mainly play and it's not expensive, but if that's diamond encrusted, that thing's probably worth a pretty penny. And I bet you there's a handful of bad guys out there in New York City that would gladly take that away from Cam if they had an opportunity to. These players need to stay away from wearing those type of items, even with a flashy car. You go to some parts of this country in a flashy car, you're just marking yourself for victimhood. And I don't like that, by the way. I'm a firm believer that no matter where you are in this country, you should be able to wear your jewelry, you should be able to drive whatever car you want, you should be able to not have to lock your cars or your doors. But again, crime is so rampant, you'd kind of be a fool to do any of the above.
The news surprising those who frequent the area.
It's unfathomable. Wouldn't think it would happen here.
We walk, we're not afraid. We come here all the time. We walk down. We're from Pennsylvania, so we come. We're not scared, but it's very scary. It's getting more scary. Last time we were here, there was a shooter. Yeah. It's scary. Something has to be done.
That Boyd is in critical but stable condition at this time. The mayor also on social media saying he is praying for Boyd's recovery and that the city must continue working to end gun violence here. If you have any tips, you are urged to call police at Crime Stoppers.
Crime is so out of control. Maybe this is why so many young guys are choosing to hang out in their mom's basement playing video games. You're not outside getting into trouble. As a matter of fact, if more people played video games, there probably would be less crime. It just seems like a shame that every time the lights go down and the night happens, all of a sudden crime comes with it. You used to always hear them say crime is like cockroaches. At night, everybody's out. All the cockroaches are out, right? When the daylight hits, the cockroaches hide. Just kind of a bummer. We should be able to enjoy the nightlife no matter where you go. YouTube is very much like Groundhog's Day, isn't it? It seems like no matter what you do, all these stories after a while start to sound alike. And then some judge and some lawyer will say, well, because his aim was off and he didn't shoot the heart and kill Kris Boyd, we're going to let him get out of jail in, I don't know, what do you guys think, 5 to 7 years? He'll be out of jail before you know it, and then he'll repeat the crime, probably take someone's life, and we'll never ever hear about it. That's what's so devastating. All these people have a rap sheet a mile long, and it's like I thought that jail was supposed to reform people, or at least that was the goal. It seems to me like jail is just like a place where they relax until they're ready to attack again. That crossing guard just yelled at a car, slow down, because the car was probably going 20 in a 15. But hey, that's a crossing guard that's looking out for your kids. That's pretty awesome. We need more people to raise their voice. Back in the day when we didn't have very many problems, it was annoying when somebody raised their voice up and said something, right? Nowadays, we kind of turn a blind eye to too much stuff. It's kind of getting ridiculous. Oh, you want to know something I noticed? We used to have a guy at the corner for the longest time. He would sleep there at the bus stop. He hasn't been there in like the past week or two, and I'm wondering, is the guy still alive? That's the one sad thing with the homeless people that are in our cities all around the country. One day you see them and you think to yourself, God, why doesn't that guy pull himself up by the bootstraps and get his life in order? And then the next day they could be gone. Now that hopefully is something where maybe he goes back to his folks and maybe he's living at home. But it could also be that, maybe he is no longer alive. It's kind of sad when those things happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure the neighbors are glad that he's not sleeping there, and he might be back today or tomorrow for all I know. But it's just interesting when you're one of these folks that just becomes a part of the background, right? That homeless guy sleeping at the gas station. What happens to that guy? How come we don't see him every day? Does he disappear? Does he take his last breath? And would anybody notice? That's what this world's really about. You start to realize that a lot of us are like that homeless guy sleeping at the gas station. A lot of us go through life wondering, does anybody even know that we're alive? And it just seems weird, doesn't it, to live in a country where you have 360 million people. Do you realize that if you met a new person every 10 seconds for the rest of your life, you would still not have enough time to meet all those 360 million people? And when you think about the math in that way, it should be impossible that we have so many people that are lonely and not connecting with people. So I would recommend you do what I did. If you go on these dating apps or whatever, try not to look for the normal things you look for. Instead, try to meet somebody that shares your ideals. I went out with a nerdy Christian girl, and it's been the most fun 3 months ever. So even when your channel might not be doing as well as you'd like, sometimes other parts of your life are. That's why they say don't dwell on the negatives that are happening. Try to dwell and ponder the positives. And who knows, maybe if you love life, maybe life will start to love you back. Probably not, but maybe, possibly. I mean, doubtful. Definitely doubtful. Steve, J8, D6T says New York probably arrested and released this guy multiple times. I think that would scare the shit out of me. Could you imagine if some guy terrorized you and you actually called the cops come and arrest him, and you're thinking, thank God, he's in jail now, right? And you're like, he's probably gonna be in jail for a year or two, he's out of my hair. And then imagine him returning that same day or a couple nights later. He's not gonna get in trouble, and now he's back in the neighborhood, and now he's pissed at you. That happens a lot in these major cities, and it's a shame. I think you get 1 or 2 second chances, and then they need to cut people off. To lose your life to somebody that's been in jail 10, 15 times, God, at some point you gotta point the finger at the judge. It's the judge's fault, damn it. 74 degrees out today, in case you're wondering. Feels really nice, but the sun is at that angle where it's literally right in my face. Fast Eddie says, I'm glad crime is way down. Over the last handful of years, I've really lost a lot of respect for averages and statistics. People can make averages and statistics say whatever the heck they want them to. And because of that, and because we know that there's some cities where the police force will literally mark down felonies as misdemeanors, any type of situation like that's happening, it makes it where you just can't trust the numbers. And the one thing I've already told you guys, there's some of these blue cities where they would swear to you crime's down. Well, if crime's down and it happens so much still, then thank God crime's down. It must have been god awful last year. But yet last year, supposedly it was down from the previous year. If you go based on the blue statistics, crime is always cutting in half and going down. Yet if you look with your eyes, it seems pretty obvious it's not going anywhere. Aim to Jig says, wait till they put up that reward money. They're going to be blowing up the phone lines. All these people, all these friends that we try to impress when we're young, because let's be honest, I think a lot of young people are doing these stupid crimes to impress people, right? To earn money by stealing it. Those people are not your friends. And when they see your face on the camera, darn right, they're going to be the first ones to call in to turn you in for that reward money. Just makes you wonder, why are we so enthralled with impressing people? And this happens to all people. We all used to do this in high school, where for some reason we wanted the cool kids that were really jerks, if you think about it, we wanted them to like us. Why did we give a shit? As we get older, we start to slowly but surely not care so much what others think about us. And I know this is a weird parallel because I'm talking about peer pressure and getting people to like you, but I think what happens in some of these impoverished neighborhoods is they want to be that guy that has a wad of cash. They want to be that guy that has a piece on his hip so he always looks like something strong and powerful. And it's kind of like a big facade. I think these people look weak. If your only way to make money is to literally steal it, there's something really weak internally about you. You should want to change. That's where your parents are so important. And I just don't see these parents be very involved in their kids' lives at all. It's a shame. DeWood, Hyatt Travel says, ain't gonna find nothing good outside at 2 a.m. Yeah, if your kids are out past midnight, you're probably not being the best parent that you could be. That's when you're gonna get a knock on your door from the cops that say, hey, we have bad news regarding your son. You know, either he killed somebody or somebody killed him, and it's all because instead of having rules and boundaries, a lot of these parents just don't care. I think whenever your kids do something like this, I think it should automatically, if they're under 18, the mom and dad should get some of the blame too. We always talk about these things, yet it never happens. Isn't that a little irritating? We all, if you think about it, believe that parents should be responsible for what their kids do until they're 18. So how come we're always talking about penalizing the parents, yet nothing ever happens? How about your kid kills somebody and he's not 18 yet? You're going to get a mandatory 2-year sentence because technically your son is your property till he's 18. All right, maybe not your property, I'm saying it wrong, but you know, he's your responsibility. Lewis Hicks says, nope, in New York City, you can't wear jewelry at night, no matter where you are. If you go out at night, there's no jewelry, especially in New York City. Lewis, if you make millions of dollars, which a lot of professional athletes do, and you can't wear a $25,000 chain around your neck without fear of somebody robbing you, then we no longer live in America. We live in a third world country. That is something you would expect if you went to a second or a third world country and you were out away from the police and away from the city. But for some reason in America, it works the opposite. When you're in the inner city in America, where there's plenty of police, for some reason, that's where you're at your most vulnerable. I hate thieves. Oh my goodness, if I were king, you'd see a lot of people missing arms and shit. I hate thieves. I hate people that assault others. I hate people that take people's lives. I feel like we as a country could easily stamp a lot of this stuff out. The problem is we care too much about the criminal and we don't give two shits about the victim. Why don't we have a Victim's Day? There should be a day every year, and it should be just as big as Christmas, where we say prayers to all the people that have been victims of domestic violence and murder. It's awful. Robin Babcock says, thought guns were illegal in New York City. How did the criminal have a gun? Yeah, every law they ever put into the works that restricts your right to own a gun is never going to affect the bad guy. That's why it's so crazy. If you want to get rid of all these problems in New York, why don't you actually do the opposite and make it where they all need to be armed? Everybody. That would probably slow down crime considerably. Would you be able to rob somebody if you knew they could take your life out with a pull of the trigger? I think it would make people think twice. Here's something that you're not going to think about, but you should think about twice. It's your health. Do you realize that every day, if you do what I just did, a little 20 to 25 minute walk, there's a good chance you'll extend your life a couple of years, and there's a good chance you'll keep your belly in check. The reason so many of us gain weight is because we don't bother taking a little 25-minute walk when it's that easy. So if you're thinking about taking a walk, let me know down in the comments. Other than that, have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.